Broadcasting from the ECHS studios, welcome to Charter School Radio with your host, Coach Dennis Snyder.
Welcome back, and thank you again for joining us, and we hope that you will continue to spread the word about Charter School Radio. Once again, we broadcast live every Wednesday from 4 to 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and again, it's heard worldwide because we are on the internet, and we would invite you to help us spread the word. If you also can go to our website, WS Radio or Charter School Radio, and there we have all the programs, past programs archived. You can download them, you can put them on iPod and listen and do a podcast. So there's different ways you can listen to the program. You don't have to necessarily do it live. But I want to get back and we only have a few minutes left, and I want to keep picking her brain here and some of the exciting things she's doing. Again, from globalschoolnet.org, we have Dr. Yvonne Marie Andrus. She's the president and co-founder of the Global School Net. And we were just talking a little bit about, I was interested in the language barrier, and we were talking off air here a little bit. Why don't you go ahead and share a little bit how you deal with that language barrier?
When you're doing an international project, there has to be a common denominator. So typically, if you're doing an international project, the project will be done in English. A lot of the countries, our partner countries, they will have translators on their end that will help translate it in English. Many of the countries, they're very interested in learning English. There are some projects in which we have U.S. schools that are trying to learn languages, and then they'll conduct the project in whatever language. It could be French, it could be Chinese, it could be German, or whatever it happens to be. Often, you can also do projects that don't require language, maybe postcard geography or different art exchanges, video exchanges, where there really isn't any language. It's more of a visual thing that's happening.
Well, an idea just flashed through my head. I'm thinking of our students that have taken German for 4 years, or students that have taken Spanish for 4 years, or French for 4 years. I could see them now applying that language skills and working with somebody in France or in Germany or wherever that language that they're studying, and working on a project together. I mean, I could see that would really enhance their ability to speak their languages, so it really benefit our students to do that. Do you do some projects like that?
Absolutely, and one of the decisions that people have to make is, what is the purpose of this collaboration? And it could be to teach language skills, it could be to raise awareness about culture, it could be to teach the students IT skills or project management skills, collaboration skills. So there's maybe 5 or 6 different elements, and when we work with schools, we ask them to prioritize, what is the purpose of your collaboration? What are they getting out of this collaboration that they wouldn't be getting in a traditional teacher
Sure, what's the educational purpose of this, and how is it going to enhance?
And how will you assess whether you've achieved that purpose? So we talk about the different ways you can do evaluation and assessment as well.
Let's just take that example of a French class talking to some, coming up with a project and using their French language to talk to some students in France or wherever it would be. How would you go about, just so I can get a feel, and I'm sure our audiences want, okay, so as a school, you come in and you kind of help them put that project together, they agree on a project, you have some samples of maybe some things that are done in the past, is that so you come in and work with the school, does the school then pay you for those services of that in-servicing and getting them trained? Is that kind of how it works then?
Yes. Many of our projects are online. However, the professional development that's needed to implement them successfully, that's where we come in. So yeah, they would hire us, we would come in, we would sit down, we would work together to come up with a strategic implementation plan, figure out what the timeline is, what the purpose is, how much time is going to be committed, what the grade levels, and which of these elements are the most important elements. Also, it's very important to note that even though these are online, they're collaborative projects, most of the work is really done offline. It's done in a traditional way. And we talk about what is the correct elements and how much of this project are you sharing with your partner classes, and what's the value to each of the partners.
Right. Now, when you say that it's shared offline, because it's not real time, most of the time it's not like they're on a daily contact or they're Skyping or something like that. When you say offline, a lot of the work's done off there. For instance, in this scenario, we were using the French students here that are working on a project with somebody in France. They're doing some of that work in their classroom or at home, and then they share that with the other.
Right. So a project that would come to mind would be perhaps the students in California Australia, France, and Taiwan would be doing a project about their local zoos, right? And they would do it in their own language. So you would do it in English here, and you do it in Chinese in Taiwan, and you do it in French in France. And they would go visit their local zoo, and they would talk about the animals, and they would take photographs and maybe videos, and they would share it with their partner class. And then they would communicate in the language they were trying to learn, and they would talk about it, and they would interview and ask each other's questions. So a lot of that's done offline, and maybe they would be actually sharing it in the language that they're trying to learn, and the other class might say, oh, you didn't quite say this right, or perhaps you want to say it this way.
Wow. Yeah, it sounds very interesting. I'm just trying to absorb it all, because I mean it's exciting in a lot of ways, because I could see it really, you're applying the knowledge that you're gaining in a class, and now you're actually applying it and you're sharing with other people, and you're learning from the other different countries and things like that. I can see that would really excite students and get them a little more motivated about what they're doing, and obviously that's what you've seen.
Right. So, and again, another example of a project that was a fun project that would fit into what you just described was recipes. So we might have a school here come up with a recipe to make something, and then they would explain that in the language that they're trying to learn to their partner class, and again get feedback. So it's kind of a fun exchange.
And I know, and we still have a few minutes yet, but just I want to let our listeners know to contact you. How would they get in touch with you?
The best way is to come to our website, globalschoolnet.org. There's a contact area there. They can send us a message. They can sign up to be a free member of the Global SchoolNet, and then you get announcements about all of these projects and project opportunities.
Now, the projects start at different times of the year, or is it, I mean, you have them going on year-round, or how's that kind of work?
There are some ongoing projects, so people can join at any time. There are projects that have a beginning time and ending time. A lot of the projects start in the fall and then are due in the spring. So they last over a number of months to take into account people's vacation schedules, testing schedules, different things with weather and so on.
Now, I'm guessing you're doing a little bit of traveling then.
A little bit.
So give me a typical month for you. I mean, are you going to different countries to also do in-services and to do the workshops and stuff like that in the other countries?
I've actually been to every continent except Antarctica doing professional development.
You're kidding me. Wow.
And we have affiliate partners in many different countries. We have a strong program in Taiwan and China and Russia, Macedonia, Uzbekistan, Australia, Canada, and so on. So we have schools there that have embraced this whole idea of global collaborative learning and are looking for partners and looking for some structure in their projects.
And how have you seen it expand? I mean, like, for instance, in China, I was asking our earlier guests, when did they start seeing that they were ready to make that leap and to have that freedom where students could share information and dialogue with other students? Is that fairly recent in China and other countries, or have other countries been ahead of that curve for a while? We've only got about a minute left, but sorry about that.
Yeah, I think it's expanding all over. I think the whole idea of the wisdom of crowds and, the world is flat has hit home everywhere.
Yeah. Well, no, it sounds exciting, and I know Joe is one of the things that he's been working on is kind of an international film festival type thing where they submit their work online, it's judged online, or they can share and
all
collaborate.
Around the world. So
Absolutely.
my question is, Doors to Diplomacy, how do we win that $2,000 scholarship? Tell me more about that project.
And we probably only got about
30 seconds.
30 seconds to.
Right. So students work in small teams of 2 to 4 students. They have adult coaches, teacher or parents can be coaches. They create an educational project that teaches others about diplomacy or international affairs. And they submit it to the international competition, and then
they judge it?
Yeah, then they judge each other's, and then it's passed on to the State Department.
Fantastic.
Well, we really appreciate you joining us today. It's fascinating what you're doing. Again, if you want more information, go to globalschoolnet.org, and there you can get all the information. Yvonne, we again appreciate you being on today, and I hope you'll join us next week. We got another couple of great guests lined up. You're listening to Charter School Radio on WS Radio, the worldwide leader in Internet talk, and we'll talk to you next week.
That was fun.
What are connected devices? E-reader? All right, very good. Security, cameras,
actually
fitness
do,
monitors.